Welcome to part 2 of this 3-part video series about the Periodical Source Index, or PERSI for short. Now, if you caught part 1, you already learned that PERSI is a subject index to all sorts of goodies in genealogical and historical society periodicals. And I shared 7 different types of articles that you could find that could help you with your research. Whether it's an article about an ancestral line that you're researching or a how-to article on using a particular research method. So in this video, I'll show you how to perform searches in PERSI using the new version available through the Allen County Public Library. If you haven't checked out part 1 yet, I recommend that you take a peek before diving into part 2, and there is a link in the description. So hey there, I am Julie Cahill-Tarr with Genealogy in Action, and I simplify advanced genealogy research concepts so that you can chase down your elusive ancestors quickly and confidently. So if you're a dedicated genealogist looking to up-level your research skills, you're in the right place. Now, in this video, I'm going to take you on a tour of the new PERSI database that the Allen County Public Library recently released. Now, be sure to watch to the end where I'll give you a sneak peek of what's coming in the 3rd and final part of this video series. Plus, I have a little tip for keeping track of the articles you want to get copies of, so be sure to stick around for that. All right, so here we are at the PERSI database, now hosted on the Allen County Public Library's website, and the link for that is in the description for this video. I'm going to start out with a keyword search because I still think that this is the best approach because you can be a little bit more specific using the keyword. Now remember, this is a subject index. So even though there is a surname button, doesn't mean that every surname is indexed. It's only indexed when it's part of like the title or the subject of the title, or excuse me, the subject of the article. So just keep that in mind. That's not to say you can't search on surnames, and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to do that. But I just want to start out with a keyword search because it'll help explain a couple of other things as well. So before we get too far into searching, I want to note a couple of things. So for example, let's say you wanted to search different, or you wanted to account for different spellings of a surname, or a place name even. That's fine. However, you're probably used to using like an asterisk or a question mark to substitute for a letter or multiple letters in a string. You can do that on Ancestry, Family Search, things like that. Unfortunately, at this time, you cannot do that here. So if I wanted to search on the surname Schmidt, but I also wanted to make sure that I covered the SCH and the SM, I would type it in like this. So that would show me any variations that are SMIDT or SCHMIDT. And unfortunately, if I click search, I'm going to get nothing. So that unfortunately isn't an option. However, you can do multiple searches. So you may have to do it this way. Okay, so you can see here that there are 13 different entries that have this particular spelling. Now, if we go back to the search screen and then type in the other variation, it's probably going to be a lot more because this is a more common spelling. Okay, so here we have 887 entries. So just remember that in instances like this, when you have multiple spellings, in some cases, you might have the double T. And I believe that if there is a double T, it will find, if you just put in the one T, it'll also pull anything that has the double T as well. I don't see any example page, but I'm pretty sure I tested that, and I'm pretty sure that it did do that. Okay, so that's one thing. And then I also want to just kind of make mention here that you'll notice that there are some abbreviations. So for example, we have the Adam Schmidt family, and we have Topeka, Kansas, and Iowa. So the states are almost always abbreviated in this article title. And I did mention the last time that there are instances where the article title here does not actually match the article title in the periodical, because they're really using it as a subject index. So therefore, they've kind of modified the titles to get the information in the title that is useful for your search. So, but another instance here too, we see A. Schmidt letters. And then the next one down is letter abbreviated LTR. And same here. So be aware that there are plenty of abbreviations. So I just wanted to call that to your attention. So I'm going to go back here to this page, and we're still in the article title search, so the keyword search. And I want to also mention too that in instances where there are special characters, for example, I do a lot of German research and I have a lot of umlauted words. I don't know if umlauted is a word, but I have a lot of umlauts. And if I type in this town name with the umlaut U and do a search, it comes up with nothing. I'm going to go back and I'm going to take that out and put in just the regular U. And here we go. So we have 5 different entries. Now, in the case of an umlaut, I'm going to go back here and I'm going to add an E after the U, because that's kind of the English version of it. So if you have an A umlaut, an O umlaut, or an U, you can always follow that with an E. And we'll do a search. And you can see we actually get 2 more articles with this spelling. So I just wanted to call your attention to that. If you use other types of characters with accent marks or tildes or whatnot, be sure to try the special character to see if it is indexed that way, and if not, then just insert it with the regular character. So like an N with a tilde, just replace it with an N, and hopefully you'll find what you're looking for. Okay, so we're going to go back to the main PERSI page, and we're going to do a little exploring. So first of all, we're going to go to the surnames database, or the surnames section of the database. And here it's just a simple search box, and I'm going to type in Webster. And now what this is doing is it is pulling all the articles that have the word Webster in the title. And in this case, it is actually showing me surnames. If I go and do the same search in the keyword search, which I'll show you in just a second, there's going to be more. So there are 924 entries here with just Webster in the surname search. Remember that number, 924. Now, if I come back and I do a title keyword search and type Webster, so you see a lot of the same things we saw, this A.G. Webster diary, etc. And you can see down here that there are 1,620 entries. Now, That is because this hasn't been segmented for surname only. So for example, here we see Webster Township. So in most cases, the extra Websters are like place names. So I just want to show that to you so that you understand that is what the surname section is trying to do, is pull just the ones that are actually surnames and not pulling in these extra like place names. And if you put in the word Miller, for example, if the person wrote it, if somebody wrote an article about Millers, meaning the occupation, that's not something you want to necessarily see. You want to see people that have that surname. So just a little FYI there. So I'm going to go back to the main screen here. So let's go back to surnames, and I'm going to go back and put in Webster. And let's say I want to find my my ancestor, Governor John Webster. So I can put in the word John, and it'll start filtering out things like, okay, we have Abigail Webster, husband John Westgate. She's a relative of mine. And some other things here, which in some cases don't totally make a lot of sense, because like this one doesn't have the word John in it, although the word John is over here. So maybe that's why it's pulling it. Not quite sure. Haven't totally gotten the hang of their database, I'll be honest. Lots of new stuff to learn, but at any rate, so I can do that, and I'm not seeing anything on this page. So, okay, here we go. So I've got John and Robert Webster of Connecticut. These are probably my people. Let's see. John and Rachel Webster of New Hampshire, maybe. What else do we have? So I'm not seeing anything on my Governor John Webster. So I'm going to try to put in GOV. And here we go. So John Webster, Governor, Ancestry in the American Genealogist, and Governor Webster, or excuse me, John Webster, Governor, Family, 1660s, Massachusetts, Americana, etc. And I just want to mention again, we saw the word letter, abbreviated LTR. This is the same thing here. If I start typing in and like another one to get the full word, I see it here. And that's about it. So again, abbreviations, try it both full and abbreviated, because you never know what you're going to find. All right, so let me X out of that. So now we're back to the main 924 entries for the Webster surname. And if you just want to go through and look at them, you can. Now, again, you can use this to filter. You can also use the filter down here. So again, I can type in John here, and it's going to show me, so like it's telling me right here, it's 78 entries out of the 924. And it's only showing me where the word John appears somewhere in the title and not in these other fields. Whereas I'm pretty sure that this one, let's do John again up here. And if I go down here, so 81. I believe that was a different number, right? Yep, 78. So 81 of them had John, three more had John somewhere other than in the title. All right. You can also search by publisher. So let's say I want to know if anything was published in the New England Historic Genealogical Society publication. So here I can see, I just typed in a few letters here, and it's already showing me New England Historic Genealogical Society, New England Quarterly, different things like that. So you can, like, let's say I know it's going to be in a New England publication. So I'm just going to narrow my search to that. So you can do that. You can also narrow by like a year if you would like, but the best way really is to, do the surname search, And then when you get in here, either at this one at the top or the one for the article title, if I'm, looking for Robert, and again, it'll just filter out. So there's 11 entries and it'll filter out. So like this one has Robert Wester family, Ireland, New York, Michigan. This is probably my people. However, I'm not sure about this Ireland thing, but okay. So that might be something I want to get. All right. So that is kind of a look at the surname search. And we're going to go back to the homepage. And we're going to switch to the keyword. So we're back here again. We were here initially because I wanted to talk about some of those like special characters and things like that. In this case, I want to do a keyword search. Now you can search for a surname here, like I showed you earlier. We pulled Webster and it pulled place names as well. However, you can search for place names, you can search for topics, you can search for pretty much anything you like. So let's say I want to search for anything related to Prussia. Okay, so we have 929 entries. All right, so that's quite a bit. Maybe I want to narrow it down to something, maybe another location, or maybe a surname. So I'm going to try, there we go, so Pomerania. And here's another instance too. So Pomerania is what is predominantly showing up here. However, if you do a search name, or excuse me, a keyword search, I would search for the English version, which is Pomeranian or Pomerania. And then I would also search for Pommern, which is the German spelling of it. So that narrowed it down to 5 entries. So I've got a couple of different things in here that might be of interest. I could also search for a name. So I see that there's a George Miller and New Orphan House History, and then Prussia, Germany is the location here. So just a couple of ways to kind of pick a keyword and then kind of drill down further. So, okay. I will do one more keyword search. So let's say I want to, let's see, how about Irish customs? Okay, so this found 3 different articles, Irish customs and traditions in the month of May. Okay, old Irish customs and superstitions. So these, if you're interested in Irish customs, these might be something you want to explore. Okay, so we're back here at the homepage. And this time I want to do research techniques. So I can come here and I get a drop-down menu and I can choose from the categories here. So let's say I want to learn more about church records. So this brings up a table with more narrowed down categories, and then it also includes an article count. So church records general, there's over 1,600 articles. Let's say I want to learn more about church records in Alsace. This might actually be good. I might have to add these to my list, or at least this one for sure. So it's telling me that this is, in this section, it's looking for how-to type of articles. So Alsace-Lorraine in German history, research tips and sources for genealogists, which must include church records in some way, shape, or form, because it was categorized under church records. How Jewish genealogy can fight anti-Semitism, successful experience in Alsace, etc. So there's some different things here. If I go back and choose, let's see, how about Italy? There's 40 articles. So we see archives of St. Isidore's College in Rome. This may be a finding aid for the church records that are maybe held there. So you can kind of get a feel for just a lot of the different things that we talked about in part one. There's so many different types of pieces of information that you can find in these periodicals. So explore. If there's anything else interesting to note, but I'm not seeing anything cool at the moment. Oh, here's something. Okay, so in the Catholic ancestor, there's family history research in Italy. That could be interesting if you're just getting started in researching in Italy. It might be a good article to start with. Here's something: civil birth records and indication of baptism forms translation guide. That might be helpful. So just explore, right? That's really kind of what the database is about. There's so many different things and there's so many ways that you can find things. And I'm going to go back to the home page, back to research techniques, and let's just look for something like, how about tax records? So again, we're kind of brought to this more narrow thing here with different articles related to different countries. But let's just say I want to do general, and there are 285 articles. Now I can type in the word like poll, for example, because that's what I'm interested in learning more about is poll taxes. So I'm now narrowed down to 6 articles. So again, when you get into this page, you can narrow down by different things. And then finally, I want to go back to the homepage here and notice that there are United States, Canada, British Isles, and other countries. So first, we'll take a look at United States. And in this case, you can choose by a state. So I'm going to choose Connecticut, and then I can either search on Connecticut only, or I can add in a county, so Hartford. And this time I'm brought to a page with different types of categories related to Hartford, Connecticut. So for example, here's something on cemeteries. There's 105 different articles. So let's see what they got. So we have an African-American monument and ancient burying ground, ancient burial ground in Glastonbury, Bakersville Cemetery in New Hartford, etc. So these could be informational. They could be a listing of people buried there, like if somebody did a reading of the tombstones, or maybe extracted record data from the actual cemetery records. Who knows, right? It's kind of like just kind of got to figure out what sounds good to you and then kind of go for it. And let's say I wanted East Hartford specifically. And unfortunately, I'm not seeing anything for East, but we do have East Glastonbury, if I can say that. So you can, again, narrow down. So I'm going to go back to that homepage. So we did United States. Canada is very similar. So we can do a province. So I'm going to do Ontario. And I can just do a general search, or like I'm going to choose Picton. It's a town. And there's actually a few articles. So 3 are related to cemeteries, 1 computers. I'm not sure what that's about. 1 history and 1 passenger list. Well, great. I want to know more about the history of this place. So here's something, the Archives and Collections Society in Picton, Ontario. And I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it sounds like something I might want to get just to see what it's all about, because I do research in this particular area. So this time we'll look at the British Isles. And again, you can choose the country, and then you can put in the city and town. It does the same thing. So let's do Scotland. And again, we see different topics. And again, This is the English Civil War topic, and you can see there are 11, right there, 11, 12, 22 articles related to this. And again, you can narrow your search again. And then finally, we're going to jump back and we're going to do other countries because this one is a little different. So here you can use these at the top to kind of jump down to the particular letter of the alphabet that you want to look for. So for example, I'm going to choose P, going to see if there is anything for, let's see, Poland. And again, you get this category listing, and wow, there's like 2,200 or over 2,000 history-related articles for Poland. So this would definitely be something I'd probably want to narrow down because I really don't want to be trekking through 2,000 entries. So I might put in customs. Okay, so here we go. Marriage customs, marriage and wedding customs, Polish American wedding customs. I mean, these are pretty good, and there's only 22 to look through. So if I was looking for that, and again, I can do that in the keyword search. Remember, I did the Irish one earlier. So, you know, I can totally do that too. And quite honestly, when in doubt, that's where I go, is the keyword. I can type in a couple of different things here and see what comes up. I can get a little bit more narrow once I get the search screen. So I think for the most part, this is probably still going to be my go-to. It was my go-to in the Find My Past version. I think it's still going to be my go-to here, although if I'm looking for a surname, I think I'll probably use the surname one because it filters out all those like place names and common noun names and things like that. All right, so before we end, I want to show you what I do with the information that I find here. So in part 3, we're going to talk about how you can find the articles that you find in PERSI. So there's a couple different ways that you can go about getting them, and some of them are actually free ways. So don't want to miss part 3. But in the meantime, as you're conducting these searches, you'll need to do something with the information that you find. So let's go back to Canada. And I'm going to go back to Ontario and do Picton. And I want to go to cemeteries, and I want to get all 3 of these. So I actually have a list in Excel that I keep track of, and I have a To Request tab and a Completed tab. Now, this template is available for you to download. It is the link is in the description. And I am going to, if I copy paste, it gets a little wonky. So I'm just going to very quickly type in some information here. Cemetery periodicals. Issue 2, 2005. This I can copy. And where to obtain, I'm going to leave blank because we're not to that point yet. That's part 3. And I'll show you how to do that. And then you'll fill this in. But for now, just grab the information for each of the articles that you find. And then in part 3, we'll look at how you go about obtaining them. All right. I think that's all I have for right now, but stay tuned for your action item. Okay, so remember the action item from part 1 where I had you make a list of places, topics, and surnames related to a project you're currently working on? Well, it's time to put that list to work. So now that you know some different search strategies, take out your list and conduct searches on the things you wrote down. Now, when you find something of interest, jot down the details as I showed you earlier. And as I shared earlier, I keep a spreadsheet. So if you'd like to do the same, head to the description and download my Excel template. Then you'll be all set for part 3, where I'll show you various ways you can get copies of the articles you found. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video and that you're ready to jump in and do some searches in PERSI. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe using the button below and click the little bell so that you'll be notified when new videos are released.